Here's what happens every day in Florida. Someone from up north opens Zillow, types in Florida, sorts by lowest price, sees a three-bedroom house with a pool for $180,000 and thinks they just discovered a secret. They move down. 6 months later, they are wondering why the insurance costs more than the mortgage, why the nearest hospital is 40 minutes away, why their car got broken into twice, and why nobody told them before they signed. Nobody told them because nobody makes money by telling you the truth about the worst cities in Florida. I do not make money either, but at least we're going to tell you. These are 10 Florida cities you should never move to in 2026. Number 10, Crestview. Search Crestview, Florida on Google Maps. It sits in Okaloosa County in the Panhandle, about 25 miles north of the Emerald Coast beaches. A population around 28,000 and growing fast. And on the surface, Crestview looks like a smart move. You get Panhandle Beach access without Panhandle Beach prices. Homes in the mid-200s. Close to Eglin Air Force Base and Hurlburt Field, which provides jobs and stability. The pitch is you live here, drive 30 minutes to the beach and save a fortune compared to Destin or Fort Walton. Sounds perfect. It is not. Crestview grew too fast and the infrastructure never caught up. The roads were not built for this many people. Highway 85, which is the main artery in and out of town, turns into a parking lot during rush hours and beach weekends. The commute to the coast that sounded like a casual 30 minutes becomes an hour on a Saturday in summer. Healthcare is limited. The nearest major hospital system is in Fort Walton Beach. If you need a specialist, you're driving further. The town itself has very little character. Strip malls, chain restaurants, fast food. There is no walkable downtown, no art scene, no culture beyond what the military base brings. Summer heat in the Panhandle is brutal. We are talking 95 degrees with humidity so thick you feel like you are breathing through a wet towel from May through September. And here is what nobody tells you. The Panhandle is not immune to hurricanes. Hurricane Michael hit this region as a Category 5 in 2018, and the damage was catastrophic. Insurance rates have been climbing since. Crestview is a city that works on a spreadsheet. But spreadsheets do not capture what it feels like to sit in traffic for an hour, just to reach the beach that was supposed to be your backyard. If you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe because it really us me to reach more Americans. Number 9, Pahokee. Type Pahokee, Florida into Google Maps. Zoom in. You will see a small town sitting on the southeastern shore of Lake Okeechobee in Palm Beach County. Population around 6,000. And I need to be upfront about something. Pahokee is one of the poorest communities in the state of Florida. The poverty rate exceeds 40%. That is not a typo. 40%. In Palm Beach County. The same county where billionaires park their yachts on the coast 60 miles east. The median household income is barely half the national average. The economy runs on sugarcane agriculture and very little else. Job options outside of farming are almost non-existent. The town has limited healthcare, limited shopping, limited everything. The nearest major hospital is over 30 minutes away. The nearest real grocery store with fresh produce is a drive that people in the suburbs would consider unreasonable. Crime rates are well above state averages. Violent crime in Pahokee runs significantly higher than the national average for a town this size. The housing is cheap. You can find homes under $100,000. But cheap housing in a town with no jobs, no services, and a poverty rate that rivals some of the poorest communities in America is not a deal. It is a reflection of what the market thinks the town is worth. And the market is usually right. Pahokee is 60 miles from the wealth of Palm Beach. But those 60 miles might as well be 6,000. The gap between Pahokee and its coastal neighbors is one of the starkest economic divides in the entire United States. Number 8. Palatka. Search Palatka, Florida on Google Maps. You will find it on the St. Johns River in Putnam County about an hour south of Jacksonville. Population around 10,000. And this is a town that looks charming at first glance. Spanish moss on the trees. A river running through town. Old Florida architecture. The kind of place that looks beautiful in a drone shot. Then you look at the data. Putnam County was one of the epicenters of Florida's opioid crisis. Overdose rates here were among the highest in the state during the peak of the epidemic. The ripple effects are still being felt in crime statistics, strained emergency services, and a population that has been shrinking as younger residents leave for cities with more opportunity. The median household income is well below the Florida average. Job options are thin. The economy runs on healthcare, government services, and whatever tourism trickles through from people passing between Jacksonville and Daytona. Property crime, including theft and burglary, is persistent. The violent crime rate runs significantly above both state and national averages. Healthcare is limited for a community with this many challenges. And here is what nobody tells you. Palatka is the kind of town where the home prices look attractive because they start in the low 100s. But the reason they start that low is the same reason the town is on this list. Limited jobs, limited services, elevated crime, and a community still recovering from a crisis that hit it harder than most. Palatka is not a hidden gem. It is a town that has been struggling for a long time, and the struggle shows. Number 7. Cape Coral. You search Cape Coral, Florida on Google Maps, switch to satellite view, and look at the canals. You will see more canals than you have ever seen in any city anywhere. Over 400 miles of them. That is more canal mileage than any city on Earth. Cape Coral was built in the 1950s and 60s as a land development scheme. Developers dredged swampland and carved canals to create waterfront lots they could sell at a premium. The pitch worked. Population exploded to around 200,000. Homes with canal access and boat docks. The Florida dream. Here is what nobody tells you. Those 400 miles of canals are the reason Cape Coral is one of the most flood-vulnerable cities in the entire state. The canals connect to the Gulf of Mexico through the Caloosahatchee River and Matlacha Pass. When a hurricane pushes storm surge up those canals, the water has a direct highway into neighborhoods that are miles from the actual coast. Hurricane Ian proved this in 2022. Surge traveled up the canals and flooded neighborhoods that homeowners assumed were safe because they were not on the beach. Residents who thought they were buying inland waterfront discovered they were buying a flood funnel. Cape Coral has an estimated 111,000 properties at risk of flooding. Insurance premiums have been climbing aggressively since Ian. The infrastructure that supports those 400 miles of canals is aging, and the city is playing catch-up on maintenance and upgrades. Saltwater intrusion could affect up to 30% of the aquifers by 2050. Water hookup costs for some homes run as high as $40,000. For a city of 200,000 people, those numbers are staggering. Cape Coral looks incredible on Zillow. Canal views, boat docks, palm trees, sunset photos that belong on a postcard. But the city was literally carved out of a swamp, and the swamp has a long memory. The water that makes Cape Coral beautiful is the same water that makes it one of the riskiest places to buy a home in Florida. Number 6. The Villages. Search The Villages. Florida on Google Maps. Zoom out and look at the size of it. This is not a town, it is a machine. The largest retirement community in the world. Population over 130,000 spread across 3 counties. Golf cart paths everywhere. Recreation centers. Swimming pools. Over 50 golf courses. It looks like retirement paradise engineered to perfection. And that is exactly the problem. Here is what the brochure does not tell you. The Villages is run by a developer. The community is governed by community development districts, which function like mini-governments with the power to tax residents through bond assessments. Those assessments can change, and residents have limited control over them. HOA rules are strict. Your lawn, your paint color, your Christmas decorations. The number of days your grandchildren can visit. There are rules for everything, and enforcement is real. The community is politically homogeneous in a way that some residents find comforting and others find suffocating. If you do not fit the dominant culture, the social experience can be isolating. And then there are the sinkholes. The Villages is built on limestone karst terrain, which is geologically prone to sinkholes. Multiple sinkholes have opened in the community over the years, some swallowing portions of yards, roads, and structures. Florida law does not require sellers to disclose sinkhole history unless there has been a confirmed insurance claim. You could buy a home near a previous sinkhole and never know it. The Villages is also under investigation and legal scrutiny regarding bond structures and financial arrangements that critics have called into question. Whether those concerns are valid or overblown depends on who you ask. But the fact that they exist should make anyone doing their homework pause. The Villages works for a specific type of person. If you want structured community, organized activities, and do not mind rules, it can be genuinely enjoyable. But if you value independence, diversity of thought, or want to own property without a developer controlling the infrastructure you depend on, the Villages is not freedom. It is a very comfortable HOA with a golf cart. Number 5. Opa-locka. Search Opa-locka, Florida on Google Maps. You will see it in northern Miami-Dade County. And the first thing you notice is the architecture. The city was designed in the 1920s with an Arabian Nights theme by a developer obsessed with 1001 Nights. The buildings have Moorish arches, domes, and minarets. It looks like nothing else in Florida. Population around 16,000. And that unique architecture is basically the only positive thing on the list. The violent crime rate in Opa-locka is well above state averages. Gang activity has been documented for years. Property crime is persistent. The poverty rate is among the highest in Miami-Dade County. Large numbers of buildings sit abandoned. Empty structures dot the city, remnants of businesses and homes left behind as the economy contracted. These abandoned properties become magnets for criminal activity. Squatting, drug activity, vandalism. The municipal government has faced its own challenges with financial management and service delivery. The infrastructure is aging. Roads need repair. Services are stretched thin. Here is the part that makes it relevant for this list. Someone searching for affordable housing in Miami-Dade County might see a listing in Opa-locka and think they found a way into the Miami market. The prices are lower. The zip code says Miami-Dade. On Zillow, it looks like a deal. It is not a deal. It is a city with serious structural problems that the Arabian Nights architecture cannot mask. Miami Beach is 20 miles south. Coral Gables is even closer. But the economic reality inside Opa-locka is a world apart from those places. The price is low for a reason. And that reason is everything I just told you. Number 4. Fort Myers Beach. Search Fort Myers Beach on Google Maps. Switch to satellite view. You will see a narrow barrier island about 7 miles long sitting in the Gulf of Mexico. The water on the Gulf side is turquoise. The beach is white sand. It looks like paradise. It was paradise. Before September 28, 2022. Hurricane Ian made direct landfall at Fort Myers Beach as a Category 4 storm. The surge reached 15 feet in some areas. Entire blocks were reduced to rubble. The Times Square pedestrian area was demolished. Hotels, restaurants, homes, all gone in hours. Nearly 3 years later, the rebuilding is still incomplete. If you zoom into the satellite view, you will see vacant lots where buildings stood. Construction next to empty parcels. The beach still looks beautiful from above. But behind it, the town is fundamentally different. Here is what nobody tells you about Fort Myers Beach in 2026. Insurance premiums have tripled or more since Ian. Some properties are effectively uninsurable by private companies. Citizens. Insurance, the state insurer of last resort, has become the primary carrier, which means Florida taxpayers are backstopping risk that the private market rejected. The average elevation of the island is 4 feet. NOAA says sea levels are rising 10 to 12 inches by 2050, and hurricane intensity is increasing. People are buying homes here right now, rebuilding, investing. And I understand the emotional pull. The sunset over the Gulf from Fort Myers Beach is genuinely one of the most beautiful things in Florida. But buying property on a 4-foot elevation barrier island that just took a Category 4 direct hit with insurance that costs more than most people's mortgage is not a sunset. It is a bet. And the odds are getting worse every year. Number 3. Key West. Search Key West on Google Maps. Follow Highway 1 all the way to the end of the Florida Keys. Population around 25,000. And Key West needs no introduction. Hemingway, Buffett, Mallory Square sunsets. Duval Street. It is one of the most famous small towns in America. The water surrounding it is genuinely Caribbean. The culture is unlike anywhere else in the United States. And I need you to hold all of that in your head while I tell you about this place. The average home price in Key West exceeds $800,000. Median rent for a two-bedroom runs over $3,500 a month. Those numbers alone would make most people stop reading. But it gets worse. Key West has no natural freshwater source. All drinking water is piped from the mainland through an aqueduct running alongside Highway 1. If the highway is damaged in a storm, the water supply is compromised. Highway 1 is the only road connecting the Keys to the mainland, and it floods during regular king tides. Not hurricanes. Regular high tides. Multiple times a year. When the road floods, 73,000 Keys residents are cut off. Insurance premiums in the Keys are among the highest in the state. Some homeowners pay $15,000 to $20,000 a year. The cost of groceries, gas, and basic services is significantly higher than the mainland because everything has to be trucked or shipped down a single highway. Key West is an incredible place to visit. But moving there in 2026 means paying Manhattan prices for a house that sits 5 feet above a rising ocean with no freshwater source, one road out, and insurance that costs more than a car payment. That is not paradise. That is financial exposure disguised as a lifestyle. Number 2. Miami Beach. Search Miami Beach on Google Maps. Zoom in on the famous Art Deco district along Ocean Drive. South Beach. Collins Avenue. Some of the most photographed streets in America. Luxury condos with ocean views, celebrity nightclubs, fashion shoots. Miami Beach is a global brand. It is also sinking. The city has spent over $500 million on a pump system designed to push floodwater off the streets during king tides. The pumps work. When the tide comes in and the streets flood, the pumps kick on and push the water back into Biscayne Bay. But here is what nobody tells you. Miami Beach sits on porous limestone. That means the ocean does not just come over the land. It comes up through the ground. Seawalls cannot stop it. Pumps can slow it. But the water finds a way through the rock beneath the surface. Residents have reported saltwater bubbling up through lawns and parking lots during high tides. NOAA projects that the flooding events Miami Beach currently experiences a few times per year will become weekly or daily occurrences within the next few decades. Insurance rates have been climbing sharply. The condo market in some buildings is under pressure from the new structural inspection laws that followed the Surfside collapse. Owners in older buildings are receiving special assessment bills of $50,000 to $150,000 for mandatory repairs. Some cannot pay and are selling at losses. The real estate prices in Miami Beach are still among the highest in Florida. Luxury condos still sell for millions. But the question you need to ask before buying is not what the view looks like today. It is what the flood insurance will cost in 5 years and whether the limestone beneath your building will still be keeping the ocean out. Miami Beach is spending billions on adaptation, raising roads, elevating buildings, installing more pumps. But there is a limit to how much you can engineer your way out of a problem that is literally beneath your feet. The brand says luxury living. The geology says something else. And at number 1, the city I think is the single worst trap in Florida for someone who does not do their research. Florida City. Search Florida City on Google Maps. You will find it at the southern tip of the mainland right where Highway 1 begins its journey south toward the Keys. Population around 12,400. And the pitch is seductive. Last affordable town before the Keys. Close to Everglades National Park. Gateway to Island Paradise. Homes listed in the low 200s, which in South Florida sounds like a bargain. It is not a bargain. Florida City has the highest crime rate in the entire state of Florida. The violent crime rate is 2,290 per 100,000 residents, the highest in the state. The property crime rate is 8,013 per 100,000, also the highest. 8 murders in a single year in a city of 12,400 people. Your chances of being a victim of violent crime are 1 in 43. That is not a neighborhood problem. That is a city-wide statistical reality. Florida City is one of the carjacking capitals of America. The combination of Highway 1 traffic, proximity to the Everglades, which provides escape routes through swamp roads, and economic desperation creates an environment where vehicle theft and carjacking are regular occurrences. The gas stations along Highway 1 serve hundreds of thousands of tourists every year heading to the Keys. Most of them have no idea about the crime data of the town they're stopping in. Healthcare is limited. Economic opportunity is thin. The poverty rate is high. And the homes that look like deals on Zillow are priced that way because the market knows exactly what Florida City is. Every real estate market in America is an information game. When a home is significantly cheaper than everything around it, there is a reason. In Florida City, the reason is that you are buying into the statistically most dangerous city in the state. The listing price says affordable. The crime data says otherwise. And that gap between the Zillow photo and the FBI statistics is exactly what makes Florida City the #1 place in Florida you should never move to without doing serious homework first. 10 cities, some dangerous, some sinking, some overrated, and some look incredible on Zillow until you drive through them at night. Florida has amazing places to live. These are not them. If you are planning a move and one of these cities is on your list, do your homework. Drive through at night. Check the insurance before the listing price. Check the flood maps before the sunset photos. Check the crime stats before the school ratings. Because in Florida, the difference between the right city and the wrong one is thousands of dollars a year and a lifestyle you did not sign up for. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if I got one wrong. Subscribe because we cover Florida like nobody else. See you in the next one.